Hey kiddos, day 21 of backyard ceramics. It's a chilly day out, so I'm going to be in my shed today. The fire from yesterday turned out pretty cool. These two glazes, I think were both successful. This one's the borax and clay. This one's the baking soda and clay. I think I could have gone with more clay with the baking soda one. Now, in order to get more consistency, since I've got no way of measuring my ingredients, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make bigger batches. That way, if it turns out good, at least I'll have that whole bottle of glaze that I can use over and over again to have hopefully consistent results. So there's an idea that kind of came to me yesterday. I may as well just make bigger batches. And then I've got the bisque fired cubes that I'm going to string on elastic here shortly. So that's my plans for today. String up the cube beads, test that idea out, and then mix up bigger bottles of glaze and do a test fire of that. In fact, I may even use this to test it rather than more test mice, because I don't have any specific plans for glazing this anyway, and I think it'll look cool. So yeah, maybe I'll just do different sections of that with different glaze compositions, and do a little sketch of this and do different sections of different glazes, and then notate in the sketches which glaze is which so that I know which ones came from which bottles. You get the idea. All right, here we go. So I decided to do something a little more experimental too. So I've got the baking soda and clay in this one, borax and clay in this one, and those are both super saturated so that you can see it's settling out. So I'll have to shake them really well before I use them. And then with these, I let it settle out before I poured them in here. So these don't have any, or don't have much in terms of solids to settle out, but I added baking soda plus clay plus wood ash from my fire pit. Now you can see the little black speckles. That's all charcoal. That'll burn out. That should not have any effect. But the ash part of it is mostly silica, which melts to make glass. So I have no idea what this will do, if there's enough baking soda dissolved in the water to actually flux the ash. It could be really cool, could be nothing at all. So this one's baking soda, clay, and ash, and that one is borax, clay, and ash. So we will see, and if it does turn into something cool, then I have a whole bottle of it mixed up, and if it does not turn into something cool, then I just throw that away, because it's all, it's just not really valuable materials to begin with. So I'm going to make some, I'm going to do some test mice with these two, and then I'm going to use these two for glazing that double whistle. Alright, so I drew my little drawing here of this, and on one side I got the borax and clay, on the other side I got the baking soda clay. I did about 3 coats, but it's really thin. Even though it was oversaturated with the baking soda or the borax, you can see the crystals of borax forming as it dried. So even though it was oversaturated with that, it still is very thin. So I'm leaving the lids off, and I put them in the windowsill here with all of them, just to let some of that water evaporate out of there. I can always add more water in, but because I've got soluble ingredients, baking soda and borax are both soluble, I can't just pour off excess water. So I don't know how much those will evaporate, especially since it's so cool today, so chilly. But we'll leave them there for, well, till the next time I use them, and hopefully they'll be a little more brushable. But even so, with 3 coats on there, we should get some sort of result. Alright, so I'm going to throw this in the kiln. I'm going to throw it. I'm going to place this gently in the kiln. Since I glazed it all over, I'm going to put it on a stilt. And then plug it in and come back in a couple hours to see how it does. So I've got the 2 test mice in the back. I've got my rocket ship whistle up here. Nothing is touching. So time to plug it in. Ugh, almost fell over. All right. See you in a few. While that's firing, I may as well string these. Don't have very thick elastic, so what I'm going to do is double this over a couple times so that I have multiple layers of this, and then string it through each of these and see how that works. The biggest challenge of that was getting the elastic on the needle, and because the elastic is kind of weak. It's you know, these are kind of loose, but you get the idea. The idea is that each of these can slide, you know, each of these are basically hinged. It can go this way, right? Or can go this way. So each of these are free to go in any direction to each other. I didn't have a long enough piece of elastic, so I only got 8 of them on there. I've got 4 more over here. But I like this as a proof of concept. I like this, that, you know, it can be made to bend in any direction and make different configurations. So I think there's some promise to this idea. I like that. I'm going to need some thicker elastic, so maybe I might have some somewhere else in my house. If not, I might be I don't know, sacrificing a pair of socks or something. Steal all the elastic out of it. But my idea being that these could be, you know, if I make them not just cubes, but different shapes, then I can make it like a posable action figure type of robot. That's what I want to do with that. Because I like robots. Robots are cool. And these are pretty fun. They kind of look like S's when you look at them from the side. Alright, so good proof of concept, good test on these. Successful trial. Notes for the future: need thicker elastic. Also, the needle that I used to string those on the string to dry, then when these were fired or when they dried and were fired and shrank, the holes were too small for that same needle, so I'd use a smaller needle. So I think maybe just making the hole through bigger would also be a help. But you know, I've learned some things, and next time I make something with this system, this strategy, I think I can make something pretty cool. So maybe I'll get started on that, I don't know, tomorrow or whenever. Alright, so the kiln is firing, and when that's done, I'll show you what that looks like. So I should have a finished double whistle and some new test mice to see how the ash affected the glaze. Well, it's red hot in there, but I don't see a whole lot of shine, so I wonder if I didn't have enough of either the baking soda or the borax in either of the solution. So I might need to add more. I'll unplug it and let it cool and find out what it looks like. Sometime later. It is still a little warm, but cool enough. It's actually pretty cool. Cool looking, not cool temperature. Feels rough though. But I like the look of it. I think I'm going to keep this one as is. And then this did not do a whole lot of anything. So I'm going to add more baking soda, more borax, and excuse me, that was not the sickness. Okay, we'll try those again with different test mice next time. I wonder how this sounds. How'd that sound? It looks cool. So let's see, this side was the, let me check my notes. This side was just the baking soda and clay. And I actually think that's the better side than the borax and clay. I think baking soda is a little more soluble than the borax is, so there was more of it in the solution. This just didn't have enough. So I might need to figure out something to mix in with it to keep more borax in solution, because where it was kind of splotchy, where those little borax crystals were laying, I think that's where all those little glassy spots are. Whereas the baking soda got a slightly more even layer. Perhaps with less water, that might help. Maybe I'll just take those bottles and pour them out into a pan and boil them off a little while. Might be another option. So, I don't know. We'll figure it out. I like the look of this, though. I'm going to keep it as is, because I think that's pretty cool. But, in terms of a glaze, I'd rather have something that covered better than that. So, we'll see. Alright, let's see what Jack is doing. Jack snack pack. There's my Jack. There's my jackpot fishy poopy pants. Jack. Count Jackula. Here's my baby. Where's my baby? Oh, big stretch. Hey, get the ball. Hey, get the ball. Hey, get the ball. Get the ball. Get the ball. He's a good boy. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.